for calm, but some have already gone public with their disapproval, including one prominent former party executive.
This House has approved the nomination of Mr. as the Minister Designate for Finance.
The intention is to apologize to the Finance Minister. Deep within my heart, I think that I have caused so much to his image, and so I should apologize. Many people in my party obviously will not be happy. I want to get at the appointment committee, hence this apology. But this is personal, and I have done it.
We're live in Parliament, where we await Speaker Alban Babing's next move after his 2-hour ultimatum to the Health Minister to appear before the House passed, with the Minister still absent. And Top Story is always brought to you by Gasem Cement. The Nation Builder is also brought to you by Belacqua Mineral Water.
At the conclusion of the debate, the question is, all in favor of the motion, say aye. All against, say no. The ayes have it. The motion is carried. This House has approved the nomination of Mr. as the Minister Designate for Finance.
And with that, it was an overwhelming approval of the Finance Minister's nomination when the question was put on the floor today. In fact, the Minority Leader, Haruna Idrisu himself, rose to second the motion for his approval after the Appointments Committee had agreed to recommend his approval by consensus. Well, that decision by the NDC MPs appears to have once again placed them firmly in the crosshairs of their party's rank and file, many of whom have tonight been left disappointed. Some are now going public, detailing how let down they feel by the conduct of their party's MPs. In fact, in the last couple of hours, the party has issued a statement calling for calm among the rank and file. My colleague, MFA Pao, has that angle of the story for us. What's the party saying?
So I read verbatim to you. This is a statement issued a while ago today, and it's captioned, NDC edges calm on consensus recommendation of Ken Oforiatta. It goes on to say that it is hereby announced to the rank and file of the party and to the notice of all comrades that a decision by the Appointments Committee to recommend Ken Oforiatta for the approval by consensus will be made public today in Parliament. So following what transpired previously in respect of vetting and approval of some ministers designate, the minority leadership, the party leadership, as well as the Council of Elders have engaged in extensive consultations with a view to adopt a common position based on the exigencies of the situation. I therefore urge all members to remain circumspect when the need for reaction arise. The NDC Parliamentary Caucus and the Functional Executive Committee, FEC, will be fully briefed accordingly. And this statement is signed by Johnson Asiedu Nketia, General Secretary of the party.
Well, talking about circumspect, we're already hearing publicly a public disagreement and expression of disappointment with the MPs who agreed to approve Ken Oforiatta from some leading prominent members of the NDC. Broja Jemfi is a prominent member of the party. He is a former youth organizer for the Ashanti region, also a parliamentary candidate for Swame in the Ashanti region. He's gone public tonight with an apology to Ken Oforiatta. He was very instrumental the last 4 years in taking some serious matters that he deemed to have been against the state that he alleged that Ken Oforiatta had done to Shraj. He first dragged Ken Oforiatta to Shraj over the very famous Ken Gate matter in the issue about the Franklin Temple thing, and that matter dragged on. Shraj investigated, cleared Ken Oforiatta on aspects, but as we saw, aspects were also very indicting of him. It actually, part of it then ended up at the court when Ken Oforiatta himself eventually got cleared. He didn't stop there. He took another case to Shraj, all on Ken Oforiatta. He says he regrets taking all these actions against Ken Oforiatta. If his own MPs on the Appointments Committee could approve him, then he is confident that he had justifiably destroyed the man's image or damaged it. Listen to the man himself.
I had several thoughts. I thought about it very deep, and I put up the post. the intention is to apologize to the finance minister. There may be other things that would have triggered that. But deep within my heart, I think that I have caused so much to his image with my issue, my petition to Shraj, the first petition, which was about Ken Bond. Subsequent to it, the investigation of Shraj led to another, which had to do with his asset declaration, which I did a second petition to Shraj. So, I mean, looking at all that has panned out with time, I think that it will not be out of place for me to apologize to him. And that's what I've just done.
Just by the fact that Parliament has approved him unanimously, does it nullify and negate your positions in the past for which reason you're apologizing?
Well, to a certain extent, I brought the issue before Shraj. Shraj exonerated him on the issue of conflict of interest. But Shraj indicted him for breaching the Public Financial Management Act 2016 and also the Bank of Ghana auction guidelines. I thought these were, very serious matters that needed attention. And I think that at the time, the minority agreed with me and had a press conference and even moved to censure the minister, and all those, drama came up. Now, part of it also went before court, and court thought that he was not given fair hearing. So a part of that report was set aside. So I was thinking that Parliament would have an opportunity to really delve into these issues and come up with their own version of their findings. And it's very clear from what has been laid before Parliament that the minister has been approved by the Appointments Committee by consensus. So that should tell me that maybe if I was in a position to investigate further, I may have taken the issues on another path. And so I'm not just saying that I was wrong, but what I'm saying is that I may have taken the issues, on a different level. And with what has actually happened in Parliament now, I think that personally I've hurt the image of the man. And so I should apologize to him.
Do I sense some sarcasm in your expression now, so that you think Parliament should have done something which it didn't do?
That's also a contributory factor, because the noise and the brouhaha that greeted the approvals of certain ministers by the Appointments Committee. And so with the passage of time, anybody would have thought that going into this vetting, the Appointments Committee knew that, eyes will be watching. And so for them to have come to that conclusion, I am thinking that, they had a deep thought about it, and they have concluded that, some of the issues that we have raised are not so serious to prevent a public officer from continuing his job. And so if that is the conclusion, if that is the case, then I strongly believe that I should apologize to the minister. And that's what I have done.
What are the implications of this apology, Mr. Project?
Well, many people in my party obviously will not be happy. There are other people who also think that I want to get at the Appointment Committee, hence this apology. So, there are many implications, but this is personal and I have done it.
Let me take you to Parliament now. Let me bring in our parliamentary correspondent, Parker Wilson. Parker, when this came to the floor today, it was the minority leader himself who rose to second the motion. How did he justify their decision to approve the minister by consensus, knowing what Budedemfi had said there, that they were very vocal in raising fundamental issues of constitutional breaches and illegality against the minister?
Evans, the minority leader himself clear in his mind when he rose to support the approval of the finance minister that even though his side of the house is supporting the approval, they are still not satisfied with the performance of Mr. Kenneth Foriata when he appeared before the vetting committee because they had requested for some additional information they were expecting him to provide the committee, particularly the minority, which he didn't do. And with this information, they raised concerns. He raised concerns about how the Bank of Ghana financed government in the year 2020. According to him, they approved 10 billion Ghana cedis for the financing of government, and yet they received about 22 billion Ghana cedis. So almost about 12 billion were given to government without parliamentary approval. So he believed that was a breach of parliamentary procedures, and then they wanted the finance minister to answer some question on that. Again, he raised concerns about McKinsey and the group. The point he made was that there are credible and competent Ghanaian companies who have the capacity to equally do what McKinsey is doing. And so they would probe into the activities and operations of McKinsey going forward and demanded that the finance minister should provide how they arrived at the procurement of McKinsey to do the job that they are doing with the GRA. So these are some of the concerns he raised strongly on the floor before approving the support of the finance minister.
Just listen to him juggle between, yes, I'm going to support his approval, but I have fundamental concerns still unaddressed. Listen.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to second the motion for the approval of the President's nominee, Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta, as Minister Designate for Finance. And Mr. Speaker, in doing so, as you may recall, our side on the Appointments Committee requested for some other information relative to of Ken Ofori-Atta as Minister for Finance. We have accordingly recommended that he be approved by consensus. But, Mr. Speaker, it does not mean that we are satisfied with his performance as Finance Minister. He probably will go and bear the brunt of his mismanagement of the Ghanaian economy in the last 4 years. He will bear the brunt of his inability to reconcile his fiscal data. He will bear the brunt for not providing enough details of how much the Bank of Ghana financed the government of Ghana in the 2020 period. We will demand for more information on this matter because we are convinced that he is in breach of the law, in breach of the Bank of Ghana Act, in breach of the Fiscal Responsibility Act, and in breach of the Public Financial Management Act. Mr. Speaker, he is also on record to have been known as McKinsey and Company Limited, and he is paying them 1.5 million per quarter. So after all, he's not even the one doing the job at the Ministry of Finance. We know that he is unwell. We wish him well. We pray. But whether he can bear the burden of an economy which is rising in public debt of over 291 million, representing 76% of GDP, and then you pay McKinsey and Company this money to be doing what? We will call for further investigations into the operations and activities of McKinsey as they relate to the Ministry of Finance and as they also work for the Ghana Revenue Authority. So, Mr. Speaker, we are particular about the PIAC report, and we will follow through a reconciliation of the account with PIAC. As I have indicated, we think he has created a mess as Finance Minister, and he must carry the cost as Finance Minister. I beg to second the motion. Thank you.
So Parker, several breaches of several laws, according to the minority leader, but yet they supported his approval. I wonder what sense are you getting from the other NDC members on the committee?
Well, some of them on the committee were actually raising some concerns even before the House approved Mr. Kenneth Foriata as the finance minister. But fortunately for me, I have Edward Bauer here. He's the Bongo MP. Honorable, we just want to get a quick reaction from you. I mean, your leadership together with the NPP leadership have approved the nomination of Ken Ofori-Atta as the finance minister. A quick reaction from you, sir.
You said our leadership and the finance ministry, the majority leader side, isn't it?
Right, that's correct.
So I think that it's better you ask them. But let me tell you very clearly. I believe that when you talk to our leadership or you talk to the party leadership, the rationale behind that decision will be properly made. It is above my pay grade.
By having been communicated to as a member of the caucus, the NDC caucus?
I'm not a member of the
NDC.
I'm not a member of the appointment. I traveled and came back this morning, so I don't have all the facts. So you can talk to the leadership of our side, or maybe the party leadership. They should be able to give you some accurate. You know me.
Right.
When I have facts, I speak. I talk.
But does it come to you as a shock that the finance minister has been approved by the House?
My sentiments are irrelevant in this matter. So the most important thing is that just talk to the leadership. And
that is the man you kicked against when he introduced the Japan deal.
We lost Parker there. We'll get him back. But as you heard there, this is a backbencher for the NDC side. He says, well, the comment about how Ken Ofori-Atta got approved by consensus with the approval of their side, the NDC side, it's above his pay grade, and that we should speak to the leadership. Parker is back on the line with me. I mean, he's not. I mean, on the committee itself. Last week, I mean, Ken Ofori-Atta is the only minister in the Fourth Republic, history where his vetting has taken 2 days. On the first day, we spoke to Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa to give us his assessment of the finance minister when he appeared before the committee, because he asked a series of questions. Listen to what he told us on Newsnight, just last Thursday.
I wouldn't want to make that public at this point. Let's see how things pan out tomorrow. He still has a lot of questions to answer. And you've noticed that on a lot of the questions he has been evasive. And normally leadership will be taking notes. So you can trust that the Honorable Muntaka and Honorable Haruna Idrisu will seek to press him further on all of those outstanding matters. So let's see if he will be more convincing than he was today. But as you know, I do not like to disclose how I will vote before I vote. When I do vote, I'm sure we can discuss how I voted. Just as a matter of principle, I don't want the nominee to say that even before the process is concluded, some of us probably were prejudiced or had a preconceived intention. So please bear with me.
I mean, but on the direct question of, okay, so were you happy and satisfied with his first day's performance? He says no, he wasn't, but he'll give him a second chance and hear him on the last day. Possible to say that on the last day, of course, with the rest of his minority side, they got convinced on the second day. That's very plausible. Parker is back on the line. Parker.
Yeah, Evan.
Hello, Parker. Hello.
Hello, Evan.
Yes, I mean, so from what we hear, just a bit of what we hear from Edward Bauer, right. It appears that, and you've been speaking to some other members, or some other members on the appointments committee on the NDC side, you've been picking some vibes from them on this.
Evans, I can confirm to you that some members on the appointment committee, in fact, the NDC members, I should say, are upset, are not happy with the decision taken by the leadership. And even though I approached some individuals, I wouldn't want to mention names, to get a reaction from them on the approval of Ken as the finance minister, they have declined comment to that effect and say that they will come out soon to vent their frustration and their anger on this matter. But there is one thing they want me to know, that they are upset by the decision taken by the leadership. And so almost all the members of parliament, the NDC members of parliament, who are on the appointment committee, and even those who are not on the appointment committee, are sort of trying to distance themselves from answering questions relating to the approval of the finance minister, Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta.
Of course, and this is on the back of a statement from the party signed by the General Secretary himself calling for calm on this matter. But Parker, we are beginning to learn a bit more about how the two sides agreed to approve Ken Ofori-Atta by consensus. The chairman of the committee has been providing some details on this to you.
Right. So this one, even before the approval, we engaged them and wanted to understand the dynamics, whether it's going to be by majority vote or by consensus. And he was categorically clear that the decision taken by the committee was by consensus, and it's largely because of the performance of Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta when he appeared before the vetting committee.
The committee has recommended that the finance minister be approved by the House, and the committee came to that conclusion by consensus. But when we say it's by consensus, it means that all members of the committee agree that the House should approve his nomination.
Including the NDC leadership?
All members of the committee.
No, just for the purpose of clarity, because we know that this matter came to the floor and there was a debate about by majority decision and all of that. That is why I want to stress on the fact that the members of the NDC agreed to the approval of the finance minister.
All members of the committee. You see, at committee level, we try very carefully to avoid sides. Individual members are expected to behave as individuals, right? So no individual voted against the recommendation of the committee.
So here you go. No individual on the appointments committee voted against the nomination, which means all 13 members of the NDC on the appointments committee voted to approve Ken Ofori-Atta. That's according to the chairman of the committee, by the way. We wait to see if we'll get some, corroboration of this from the minority side, who are not willing to speak on this matter just yet. Let's stay in Parliament for a few more minutes, because today there's been another major development with the Speaker issuing another threat, this time to a substantive minister, the health minister, who was due to answer a question that was filed to him but failed to show up on the floor. The Speaker got upset by the explanation why the minister, the explanation given by the minister for his absence. He thought it just was not adequate to excuse the minister from appearing before the House to answer the question. So he gave an ultimatum. Listen.
We don't take any person by surprise. Questions are filed, they are processed, they are sent to the ministers, they go back through the business committee, they are programmed for ministers to appear on specific days to answer the questions. So the minister responsible for health is aware that the question has been scheduled for today. The reason he has given for his inability to present himself before the House to answer the question is completely disrespectful of Parliament. And I am not going to take that. I direct that the minister appears before Parliament within 2 hours to answer the question. Failing to do so, the necessary consequences will apply.
So as we speak tonight, that ultimatum expired. The minister indeed didn't show. And so what's the Speaker's next move? Because, of course, he and the health minister stared eye to eye. And, well, let's see who's going to blink. Let's bring in the Deputy Minority Whip, Ahmed Ibrahim, who joins us on the telephone line right now, MP for Banda. Mr. Ibrahim, thank you for your time here on Top Story.
Thank you for calling me, bro.
Thank you very much for joining us. So the minister did not come, from what I understand.
Yeah, my brother, let me say a very good evening to your cherished listeners before I proceed. As a matter of fact, if Parliament is facing some challenges, and one would have thought that this being a very abnormal time in our democratic dispensation, ministers and people in government would have taken government business very serious. But what is happening is that ministers are prioritizing other businesses apart from the actual business that they've been given by the president. You know, the president cannot be in almost everywhere, and that is why he has mandated or appointed or nominated ministers to do the business of government on the floor of parliament. Bro, we have a lot of members who are even yearning to be ministers. They were not privileged to get. But those who have been nominated and approved, when it is time for them to do the actual work for which they were given the privilege by the president, they are nowhere to be found. A case in point was the Minister for Agric last week. Even to move his budget motion for his budget estimates, he was nowhere to be found.
So I guess that's why the speaker was sounded upset and issued the ultimatum. The question really is, the minister, of course, didn't come. Has the speaker decided what to do yet? You are in leadership. Do you know?
Yeah, you know, we meet early. We meet more in the mornings to decide on the plan of action to execute. The speaker, after giving that 2-hour ultimatum, had to go and do some courtesy call and give the seat to his deputy. So as I'm talking now, it's the deputies who are chairing. So as for the consequence or the next plan of action by the speaker, it is when we meet tomorrow morning that it will be disclosed.
As a member of the leadership, what would you recommend? Do you want this to be used as to serve as an example, and what appropriate sanction would you recommend?
Unless the minister may have explanation, it may be a problem from the leadership of the government bench as a result of the inability of the chief whip or his deputies to reach out to the ministers and whip them to come and do government business. Or it may be a deliberate disregard for the leadership by the minister.
If it turns out to be the latter, where it's deliberate disregard, what would you say should happen?
That is where the leadership will meet and the speaker will brief us on what is going to be his plan of action. Okay. But until we meet and he discloses that one to us, it will be wrong for me to give him a prescription.
Just before you go, though, I mean, before you came on, I mean, we've seen the party has issued a statement today on the back of the your side's consensus approval of Kenoforiata. Already, some of rank and file have already gone public, on very dissatisfied, unhappy with the way your side on the appointments committee had worked together to approve him. What's happening there? How did that happen, considering all the concerns that you had raised from your side?
Brother, this is the most hard-working appointment committee that in this fourth Republican dispensation you and I have witnessed. You can see a minister, even though in a sickly condition, has been vetted for 2 consecutive days. Beyond that, 2 ministers a day. And if you look at the kind of probing questions that had been asked, it has never happened in the history of this parliament that appointment committee will do the kind of work that this appointment committee have done. So I empathize with them and I sympathize with them. But there is a saying in English that the difficulty lies in the head that wear the crown. So as a matter of fact, there are probing questions that have been asked, and these are foundational work in progress for this 8th parliament to carry or go about its duties. So clearly, one have to commend the appointment committee for doing a very good job. Then if you ask me the basis of the approval, that one, the letter that you are saying is emanating from the leadership of our party, will have certain explanations, like they said, to come later on. But my brother, if you want to know much, you remember this is the minister who, when he was taking certain policies in the Ministry of Finance, we were telling him that these policies that you are taking will not bear good fruit like you came to inherit.
Yeah, in fact, you also accuse him of breaching laws, but yet your side approved him.
Let me come. You know, before we went into the 2016 elections, there were indications from the World Bank and everywhere, every economic indicators were pointing to the positive, that the economy was going to grow, GDP was going to grow to about even close to 10%, and inflation was going to be single digit. And all the economic indicators were in the positive. As a result of the kind of massive investment that the former Minister for Finance, that's Honorable Setekwe and Honorable, he certainly John Dramani Mahama, invested. And it is as a result of it that if you look at the 2017 performance of the economy, even though the budget was based on the fundamentals laid by the previous administration, were very positive. Then 4 years down the line, the Minister for Finance himself, all his economic indicators are in the negative. The economy has grown about 0.9%. And if you change him, bring a new person, the new person comes, and the kind of excuses that he will be giving that, I was not responsible for that. So if he says that he's the best man for the economy, like the president was saying, we in opposition should not be part of that kind of blinking, whereby this economy would have grown if Ken Ofori-Atta was the Minister for Finance. Let Ken Ofori-Atta be the Minister for Finance, and we'll see the kind of growth figures that is going to turn out. So on this one, let us not be shifting any responsibility. I'm not part.
So what do you say? What do you say to the rank and file of your party who tonight are expressing public anger and simply upset at the decision that your side took?
I know I'm part of the leadership, and leadership must lead. Leadership sees what the followers sometimes don't see. I may be a leader like you are saying, but I cannot see as much as even the national executives or the council of elders may see. You understand my point? So sometimes when certain decisions are being taken, it is not every decision of the leadership that one must criticize. But sometimes there must be constructive criticism. So if you are talking of the rank and file, I think the very good information that I'm giving to you, let Ken Ofori-Atta come and inherit his mess, and he'll have nobody to blame. The parliament is still there. The 2-day vetting that he came, all these figures are there. The oil revenue, that 1.4 billion PIAC is saying cannot be accounted for. Now, if we have him as a Minister for Finance, PIAC is also there. Dr. Mantion is there, and Dr. Ajeman is there. And then we have a Finance Committee, which is 13-12. Then we have a Speaker who is not coming from the government side. This is the time that the House can compel Ken Ofori-Atta to give an accurate figures of what the real foundation of the economy was and what the real figures was. You don't allow him to go and sit in the House, then you come and you are asking somebody who will say that, I was not the Minister for Finance, it was Ken Ofori-Atta. So Ghanaians should expect the best. Our party's rank and file should also expect the best. So this is the time that I see that I have confidence in both the national executive, the council of elders, and the leadership in parliament. So because certain people may not understand certain things, they will not understand it today. But I believe that the 2017 Ghana economic records were based on the 4-year investment or 8-year investment of the Mahama administration. This is the very first time that we are going to see their results as well. So clearly, one should not be begrudging leadership as if it was a wrongdoing to pass the minister. So clearly, let's talk to them. They should let cool heads prevail. We should let the rank and file of the party come together. And we should not be behaving as if that holier than thou, somebody would have done something or somebody has done wrong something. That, I'm not in the appointment committee. We all cannot belong to the appointment committee, no matter what you do. Some people will be there. And my brother, I was part of the leadership in the 7th parliament. Do you remember when we were facing challenges in passing some of our ministers? As a deputy whip, we reached out to the other side and we all passed them. We did our work. Now it is their turn. So sometimes we need to build consensus and we need to come together. No matter what, there will be two divides. And that is why our parliament operates a horseshoe form. So clearly, let the rank and file of the party understand and have confidence in the leadership of the party.
Well, I'm grateful, Ahmed Ibrahim. He is the deputy minority whip there, speaking directly to the party's NDC rank and file, who tonight, some of them are pretty upset by the decision by their side to join the MPP side in approving Ken Ofori-Atta's nomination. Newsnight starts now. And Attorney General, but Joe also